you think can be done to tackle the issue of online fraud? Because a lot of people, we're encouraging people to go online and be part of e-commerce business in Nigeria. What ways do you think we can go about securing the online business itself?
Well, my background is not really in IT, but as a business tracker, I can say first things first is what Nicola talked about, making sure that as an e-commerce service provider, that you have your security, your website is very secured, you have your back-end security well done such that the hackers will try, the fraudsters will try, but they would not succeed. You also have to have mechanisms for detecting fraud. So not only should people be trying, you should be able to detect that they have tried, and you keep on improving your systems to make sure that they don't succeed. But there should also be the area of the customer. Sometimes people could reveal their card numbers or passwords and all that to third parties, and then those third parties use their cards for transactions. In that case, the e-commerce service provider is not liable, but because there's always this sense of a David versus Goliath, typical customer might feel that they want to go after the e-commerce service provider rather than blame themselves for their own oversight. So those are two key areas to look at.
Okay, there are a lot of people saying that perhaps this is the time to begin to develop policies that would regulate the e-commerce business. Will you subscribe to that, Nicholas, in terms of regulating your business in the country? Because I don't think there is any form of regulation yet to that effect.
To my knowledge, there is no specific regulation, but obviously we abide by all the laws of the land, and e-commerce is not a different model and not a different business than whatever shops that you would find in the streets. And so we pay the same kind of taxes, we are bound to the same labor laws, we are bound by the same, any kind of laws and set that you can imagine, we are bound by the same things. Now, if there is, I don't think, and the frequent conversation we have with the government and the Ministry of ICT is not about regulation, is about how do we make this amazing opportunity actually benefit the entire country.
You need the policies to drive that, because policies are made to improve on business environments and to ensure that businesses in the country grow and are protected.
Sure.
Should there be policies right now to help develop the e-commerce business on the long term now?
I think in that regard, the two needs that e-commerce requires, and I think we are sharing them with a lot of businesses, are obviously infrastructures, we mentioned it, and after that education. Jumia is playing its part by forming, training its own people, but there is a lot of jobs where it's actually there is a scarcity of resources and skill set on the market. And on the education side, I know that a lot of effort has been made and is being made right now by the Nigerian government, and I think we should expand it. There is a new economy coming. Nigeria is being invited to participate, but the workforce in Nigeria should be trained and equipped for that.
So we've been talking about the growth of e-commerce business in Nigeria, and our guest has been Nicholas Martin, the CEO at Jumia, and we have Tobena Okoli, the CEO at Solomon Hans Limited. Thank you, gentlemen, for still being a part of the program. Now, Nicholas, I'll start with you just before we wrap up the program. Before we went on break, we talked about education. Education, having to develop capacity, among your staff, and even to let Nigerians know how to use an online business. But how has that been for you?
It has been a very successful, but it's still an ongoing battle, because we have to fuel the growth of Jumia, and we have to always find more talents and more people to join us and hire, and even like more precise and more accurate type of skill set. But to take your question, first on the staff, we have put a very big focus on training the people that have joined us, and I'm very proud to say that most of our staff now are among the best, if not the best, employees in their sector, and setting up the benchmark in Nigeria. Now, when it comes to the customer and the overall Nigerian population about educating them about e-commerce, it's a continuous conversation, and through all the channels that we can find. Should it be obviously our own website, but we are also a sales force and a group of people that is a bit more than 1,000 people now, all over Nigeria, that are engaging the Nigerian customer on sales, but also teaching them how what is Jumia, how to use an e-commerce website, how to get there.
It's not just about talking about Jumia, well, because you represent Jumia, but to what extent have the Nigerian population been able to buy into e-commerce? Because I look at the cadre of the population that are very active online. Those are the people which I believe you always target to sell your product to and all of those things. But what has been the response like from the people?
So it has been actually quite positive, actually extremely positive. Obviously, you will have always early adopters in every kind of new trend that you're trying to build, and the early adopters for e-commerce and for in Nigeria were more urban, young customer. But now we can see with the set of data that we have and the millions of transactions that we are operating every month, that we can see actually this expansion going and expanding across Nigeria and across age groups and gender and social groups.
All right, Tobena, I know that there are a lot of e-commerce businesses right now in the country. We have Jumia, we have Konga, we have Kamo, we have D-Day. You can help with more names. Canal, a lot of.
Okay.
Now, this brings to bear the issue of competition in the business. So what's your own assessment in that regard?
Well, we could say this is Nigeria's own version of the California gold rush. There is a lot of potential, there is a lot of business to be done. And naturally, when you have these kind of scenarios, you have a lot of people who come in. There will be pretenders and there will be contenders. The companies you've mentioned, some are direct competitors, some are in different areas. So the competition has been, by and large, healthy, but we need for the industry we need for the pie to be expanded. So we have a lot of these operators operating in cities like Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, but we need for them to get to Jigawa State, we need for them to get to Abia State, we need for them to get to Osun State. We need for it to be a truly Nigerian play and not just a patchwork of several cities. So, but by and large, it's been healthy competition.
Now, from your own end?
I would say first that we welcome competition. If I was alone in the market, I would feel pretty stupid, because it means that nobody wants to follow me and that I'm doing something that nobody else wants to do as with me. The second is, I think competition should be welcome for what it is, which is a forcing device and an enabler for the Nigerian customer to get the best prices, the best services, basically the best experience shopping online. So everybody should welcome it.
I want to ask you, Nicholas, a question that has to do with you listing on the stock exchange. Maybe not now, because we have Alibaba raising funds in the stock market now. Do you have such plans? And would you encourage all the e-commerce business to also do the same?
Oh, for sure. And that's definitely, so we are not at the same stage of development as Alibaba, obviously. But this is definitely a role model for us. And we are going to try our best to follow that same trend and hit the market.